First contact and betrayal. The vast emptiness of space stretched before Captain Sarah Chen as she stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel Horizon. Earth had changed dramatically since the global unification of 2045. Nations had set aside their differences to face greater challenges: climate disasters, resource depletion, and the unknown dangers lurking in the darkness beyond our atmosphere. The United Earth Defense Force had been established as humanity's shield against whatever might be waiting among the stars. "Captain, we're detecting an anomaly near Jupiter's orbit," Lieutenant Raj Kumar reported, his eyes fixed intently on the holographic display. Sarah moved swiftly to his station, her expression serious but composed. "What kind of anomaly?" "Massive energy signature, Mom. It wasn't there during our last scan. And it's moving." "Show me." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a pulsing light moving through the outer solar system. The object was approaching the inner planets at a velocity that defied human engineering capabilities. Sarah's heart raced, but her voice remained steady. "Magnify and analyze." The image zoomed in, revealing a vessel of breathtaking proportions. Unlike the utilitarian design of Earth ships, this craft featured sweeping, organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Its surface was etched with intricate patterns that emitted a soft, blue-green luminescence. "Send an immediate message to Earth Command," Sarah ordered. "Inform them we've made first contact." Earth's response was swift. The Horizon was to maintain position and attempt communication while a diplomatic team was assembled. Within 48 hours, Ambassador Elena Torres arrived aboard the Horizon, accompanied by a team of linguists, sinobiologists, and cultural experts. "Captain Chen," Elena greeted her with a firm handshake. "Looks like we're about to make history." "Let's hope it's the good kind," Sarah replied, unable to ignore the unease settling in her stomach. The alien vessel had slowed its approach and now hung in space near Mars. It had responded to Earth's signals with patterns of its own, and the linguistics team had worked tirelessly to establish a basic communication framework. "They call themselves the Valkyrie Federation," Elena explained during the mission briefing. "Their initial messages suggest peaceful intentions and a desire for cultural exchange." "Then why bring a ship that size?" Sarah questioned. The alien vessel dwarfed anything humans had ever constructed, easily 100 times larger than the Horizon. "We're unknown to them," Elena suggested. Perhaps they were simply being cautious. Following established protocol, a small delegation including Sarah, Elena, and 3 specialists boarded a shuttle bound for the Valkyrie vessel. As they approached, Sarah couldn't help feeling insignificant. The Valkyrie ship opened like a massive flower, revealing a docking bay large enough to accommodate dozens of Earth shuttles. Inside, the air was breathable and the gravity comfortable, just slightly lighter than Earth's. They were greeted by tall, slender beings with iridescent silver-blue skin and 4 arms. Their large, faceted eyes shifted through colors as they moved, and they communicated through both vocalization and subtle color patterns that rippled across their skin. Their leader introduced himself as High Ambassador Zrenthal. "Welcome, humans," Zrenthal said, his words translated through a device held by one of his assistants. "We have observed your world from afar for some time. The moment has come for our civilizations to meet." Elena stepped forward. "We are honored by your invitation and look forward to peaceful relations between our species." The following days were filled with diplomatic meetings and cultural exchanges. The Valkyrie seemed genuinely fascinated by Earth art, music, and philosophy, while sharing aspects of their own advanced civilization. They spoke of potential trade routes, technological collaboration, and mutual defense against the dangers of space. Elena and her team were optimistic about the possibilities. On the 5th day, during a tour of what the Valkyrie called their historical archives, Sarah noticed something unusual. One of the junior Valkyrie officers had left a data terminal unattended. While she couldn't read the alien text, she could capture the information. Using a small scanner disguised as a diplomatic gift, she copied the data and returned to the human quarters. "Can you make anything of this?" she asked Dr. Minoru Takahashi, their xenolinguistics expert. Minoru worked through the night, applying the translation algorithms they'd developed based on their interactions with the Valkyrie. By morning, his face had lost all color. "Captain, Ambassador, you need to see this immediately," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The translated text appeared on the screen, and Elena gasped in horror. What they were looking at wasn't a historical archive. It was a detailed invasion plan. The Valkyrie had been studying Earth for decades, systematically identifying weaknesses in our defenses, resources for exploitation, and population centers for control. "This can't be right," Elena whispered. "They've been nothing but cooperative." "It's a deception," Sarah replied grimly. "They don't want peaceful contact. They want Earth itself. We need to get this information back home immediately," Elena decided. But before they could act, an alarm pulsed throughout the ship. They were summoned to meet with High Ambassador Zrenthal. When they arrived, the Valkyrie leader's demeanor had transformed completely. Gone was the friendly diplomat, replaced by a cold military commander. "We have detected your intrusion into our secure systems," Zrenthal stated, his skin flashing threatening patterns of red and black. "A pity. We had hoped to maintain our charade until our reinforcements arrived." "Why?" Elena demanded. "Why pretend to seek peace? It is more efficient to conquer a world when its defenses are lowered," Zrenthal replied matter-of-factly. "Your Earth possesses resources we require. Your oceans, your minerals, your biosphere. Your people will serve the Federation or perish. Earth will never surrender," Sarah stated defiantly. "Then Earth will burn." Zrenthal turned to his officers. "Return them to their vessel. Signal the Armada. The invasion begins now." Under heavy guard, Sarah and her team were escorted back to their shuttle. The moment they cleared the Valkyrie ship, Sarah pushed the engines beyond safety limits. "Earth Command, this is Captain Chen of the Horizon. First contact has failed. The Valkyrie are hostile. Repeat, the Valkyrie are hostile. They plan to invade Earth." Even as she transmitted the warning, hundreds of smaller ships launched from the massive Valkyrie vessel, streaking past them toward the inner solar system. The horizon shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. "They're not trying to destroy us," Raj realized. "They're herding us toward Earth. They want us to witness what's coming." They could only watch in helpless horror as the Valkyrie ships accelerated toward their homeworld. Earth had orbital defenses, but nothing that could stand against this armada. The first target was Luna City, Earth's lunar colony established 15 years earlier and home to nearly 8,000 people. The Valkyrie ships didn't bother with precision strikes. They simply bombarded the surface until nothing remained but dust and craters. "No," Elena whispered as they watched the destruction unfold on their monitors. Earth's orbital stations were next. The International Space Platform, the Chinese Harmony Station, and the corporate habitats were all destroyed in a matter of minutes. Only then did the main Valkyrie vessel approach Earth itself. It positioned itself in geosynchronous orbit and broadcast a message to every screen and speaker on the planet. "People of Earth, you are now subjects of the Valkyrie Federation. Surrender your governments and military forces immediately. Resistance is futile and will result in planetary bombardment. You have 6 hours to comply." Aboard the damaged Horizon, Captain Sarah Chen watched the ultimatum with cold fury. There was no direct path back to Earth. It was blocked by Valkyrie ships. But the Horizon was still intact, still armed. "What are your orders, Captain?" Raj asked, his voice steady despite everything they'd witnessed. Sarah looked at her crew, at Elena, at the distant blue sphere of Earth surrounded by hostile ships. "We find a way to fight back," she said, her voice hardening with resolve. "They tried to force Earth to kneel. We're going to answer with fire." Humanity's defiant response. 3 months had passed since the Valkyrie invasion began. Earth was no longer the unified, peaceful world it had once been. Major cities lay in ruins, their once proud skylines reduced to twisted metal and shattered concrete. The aliens controlled the skies and had established fortified bases across the planet. Millions were dead. Billions lived under alien dominion. But humanity had not surrendered. Commander Marcus Jackson crouched in the ruins of what had once been downtown Chicago. His resistance cell had grown from a handful of military survivors to over 300 fighters. Everyday people, teachers, doctors, engineers, had taken up arms against the occupiers, learning guerrilla tactics and the aliens' weaknesses. Another supply convoy moving through the financial district, reported Tanya Rodriguez, his reconnaissance specialist. 8 hover transports with Valkyrie guards. Marcus nodded. Perfect. Tell everyone to get into position. Remember, he told his fighters over their secure comms, aim for the respiratory apparatus at the base of their necks. It's their vulnerable point. As the alien convoy rounded the corner, Marcus gave the signal. Explosives buried in the road detonated, disabling the lead and rear vehicles. Resistance fighters opened fire from concealed positions in the surrounding ruins. The Valkyrie guards fought back fiercely, their energy weapons carving through stone and metal with terrifying ease, but they were outnumbered and caught by surprise. In less than 5 minutes, it was over. The aliens were dead, and the humans were rapidly transferring medical supplies, food, and captured weapons into their own vehicles. 5 minutes until their patrols respawned, Marcus warned. Move fast. As his people worked, Marcus discovered something unexpected in one of the transports, a human prisoner. A woman in her 40s with short gray hair and the tattered remains of a lab coat, her wrists bound with alien restraints. "Who are you?" he asked as he cut her free. "Dr. Lydia Kaminsky," she replied, her voice hoarse. "Quantum physics. They've been forcing me to work at their primary research facility. Why would they need a human physicist?" Lydia's eyes darted nervously. "They're having problems with Earth's magnetic field. It's interfering with their long-range communications and defense shields. I was supposed to help them solve it." Marcus made a swift decision. "You're coming with us." Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Captain Sarah Chen studied tactical displays aboard the battle-scarred EDV Horizon. The ship had seen better days, hull breaches patched with salvaged materials, systems running on minimal power, but it was still operational, still fighting. After the initial attack, Sarah had realized they couldn't return directly to Earth. Instead, they had retreated to the asteroid belt, where mining operations had been established years before. The miners had welcomed them, offering supplies and shelter among the scattered rocks. "Captain," Lieutenant Kumar called from his station, "the mining ship Perseverance is returning." Sarah nodded. The Perseverance was one of several mining vessels that had joined what they now called the Belt Fleet. Its captain, Maya Okonkwo, had been a civilian until 3 months ago. Now she was one of Sarah's most trusted allies. "They intercepted a Valkyrie supply ship near Ceres," Raj reported. "Got away clean with a hold full of alien tech." This was their survival strategy. Hit-and-run attacks on Valkyrie supply lines, stealing what they needed, then vanishing back into the asteroid field where the aliens had difficulty tracking them. The Belt Fleet had grown from just the Horizon to over 40 ships of various sizes. Most were mining vessels converted for combat, but they had also been joined by 5 military ships that had escaped Earth during the invasion's early days. Ambassador Torres had remained with them, her diplomatic skills now used to coordinate between the different factions within the fleet. Not everyone agreed on tactics, but they all shared the same goal: reclaiming Earth. "Sarah," Alina said, entering the bridge. "Maya brought back something extraordinary. You need to see this." In the cargo bay of the Perseverance, a team of engineers was examining a piece of Valkyrie technology, a communication array similar to the ones that coordinated their invasion forces. "We've been studying their communication systems for weeks," explained Dr. Aiko Nakamura, the fleet's chief engineer. "This is the first intact array we've captured." "Can we use it?" Sarah asked. "Better. Echo replied with a determined smile. We can break it. Look at this. She activated a device she had built. The alien communication array sputtered and died. What did you just do? Elena asked. Their systems operate on quantum entanglement principles. Echo explained. But they're calibrated for their home world's magnetic field. Earth's more powerful field creates interference. If we can amplify that interference and broadcast it at the right frequency, we can disrupt their entire communication network. Sarah finished, hope rising in her chest. Can you build more of these disruptors? With the right materials, yes, but they have limited range. We'd need to get close to their command centers for it to work. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Back on Earth, Dr. Kaminsky had been brought to the Resistance's hidden base in an abandoned subway system beneath the ruins of Chicago. After receiving medical attention and rest, she sat down with Commander Jackson. The Valkyrie have a critical weakness, she explained. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's highly sensitive to electromagnetic fluctuations. Earth's magnetic field is significantly stronger and more variable than what they're accustomed to. It's causing cascading failures in their systems. Cuss asked intently. Not all of them, Marcus replied with a grim smile. We have people inside the Grand Coulee Dam. It's still operational, still generating power. That could work, Lydia said, her eyes widening with possibility. If we could modify the turbines there, we might create a localized pulse. How localized? Maybe a 500-mile radius. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. Enough to clear the skies over the western United States. We'd need to coordinate with other resistance cells for a global effect. I might be able to help with that, a new voice said. Marcus turned to see his communications officer, Wei Lin, standing in the doorway with an excited expression. We're picking up an encrypted transmission on old military frequencies, Wei explained. It's from space, from something called the Belt Fleet. They say they have a way to disrupt Valkyrie communications and shields. For the first time in months, Marcus felt real hope kindle in his chest. In the weeks that followed, the Resistance established secure communication with the Belt Fleet. Captain Chen's forces had developed disruptors that could neutralize Valkyrie shields and communication systems, while Dr. Kaminsky had refined her electromagnetic pulse technology. Together, they formed a plan. A coordinated global strike against the occupiers. The Belt Fleet would return to Earth, using their disruptors to create gaps in the Valkyrie orbital defenses. Meanwhile, Resistance cells worldwide would activate electromagnetic pulse generators at key power stations, temporarily disabling Valkyrie ground technology. In that window of vulnerability, humanity would strike back with everything they had. The day of the attack arrived. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the horizon, now the flagship of a fleet of over 60 vessels. They had modified mining ships into carriers for makeshift fighters, converted cargo vessels into troop transports, and armed everything that could hold a weapon. All ships report ready, Captain, Raj announced, his voice steady but charged with anticipation. Sarah nodded. Send the signal. Operation Firestorm begins now. The Belt Fleet accelerated toward Earth, emerging from their hiding places among the asteroids. The Valkyrie orbital forces moved to intercept them, just as planned. As the alien ships approached, the humans activated their disruptors. One by one, Valkyrie shields flickered and failed. Their coordinated movements became erratic as their communication systems went offline. The human fleet struck with everything they had: missiles, railguns, even converted mining lasers. Valkyrie ships, suddenly vulnerable, exploded in brilliant flashes against the darkness of space. On Earth, Resistance fighters worldwide moved into position. At precisely coordinated times, they seized control of power stations across the globe, hydroelectric dams, nuclear plants, solar arrays, and activated Dr. Kaminsky's electromagnetic pulse generators. The effect was immediate and devastating. Valkyrie technology failed en masse. Their hovering vehicles crashed to the ground. Their energy weapons went dead. Their automated defense systems shut down. In that moment of alien vulnerability, humanity rose up. Resistance cells attacked Valkyrie bases with captured weapons. Military units that had been hiding underground emerged to reclaim cities. Ordinary citizens who had been biding their time joined the fight with whatever weapons they could find. The Valkyrie, accustomed to technological superiority, found themselves facing an enemy that refused to surrender, that adapted to impossible odds, that turned their own weaknesses against them. In Chicago, Commander Jackson led the assault on the primary Valkyrie command center. With their defensive systems offline, his fighters breached the perimeter and fought their way to the central control room. The aliens fought fiercely, but they were outnumbered and cut off from reinforcements. In orbit, the Belt Fleet broke through the crippled Valkyrie defenses and established positions around Earth. Sarah directed her ships to provide support for ground forces, targeting alien strongholds with precision strikes. The main Valkyrie vessel, the one that had first appeared in their solar system, attempted to flee. Sarah wouldn't allow it. "Target their engines," she ordered. "They don't get to run from what they've done." The Horizon and 3 other ships locked weapons on the massive alien vessel. Their combined firepower tore through the disabled shields, ripping open the engine section. Secondary explosions cascaded along the hull as the gigantic ship lost power and began to drift. Sarah led a boarding team onto the crippled Valkyrie flagship. They fought their way to the command center, where they found High Ambassador Renthal surrounded by his officers. "Impossible," the Valkyrie leader hissed, his skin flashing patterns of disbelief and rage. "Your civilization is primitive. You cannot defeat the Federation." "You made a critical mistake," Sarah replied, her weapon trained on him. "You judged us by our technology, not by our resolve. You tried to break Earth, to force us to kneel. This is our answer." The battle for Earth continued for days, but the outcome was never again in doubt. Without their technological advantage, the Valkyrie were overmatched by humanity's numbers and determination. One by one, alien strongholds fell. Their remaining ships were captured or destroyed. 1 month after Operation Firestorm began, the last Valkyrie commander surrendered to United Earth forces. The reconstruction would take years. Millions had died, and many of Earth's greatest cities lay in ruins. But as Captain Sarah Chen stood with Commander Marcus Jackson and Dr. Lydia Kaminsky, watching Earth's flag being raised over the reclaimed United Nations headquarters in New York, she felt something beyond the grief and exhaustion: pride. "They thought we would break," Marcus said quietly. "Instead,